Greenings, Green Warrior, and welcome back, Esther.
Thank you, Amy. It's so good to be together again.
Oh, I always love when you come on the show, and there's always great anticipation from the Green Warriors because they love you too.
Oh,
Green Warrior to food cravings, sabotage your healthy eating goals. Today, Esther's going to share the strategies and insights that helped her conquer cravings and embrace a healthier lifestyle. Esther, you've been plant-based for quite a while, right? But still she's learning, right? You're
oh,
learning
oh,
things all the time.
yes, yes. That's the exciting thing about life is it's not over till it's over.
Mhm, mhm, right. And
Always
and
something to
even
learn.
though you've been doing this for a while, you would think by now you have it all down pat and you lost all that weight, you've maintained your weight loss, and we're gonna show, a little bit of a before and after. We'll move on over to some pictures of Esther, but here's a before and after. So you did lose quite a bit of weight and you have kept it off, which is against all odds because typically after a year, when people lose weight, they typically gain it all back and then some. And it's been about how many years now?
It just met my 8-year mark, the
Right.
July 13th. Yeah, just
Yeah.
8 years.
So you're not going back.
No, no, no. Well, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't 8 years that I lost the weight, but eight since I started the program. Yeah,
Uh-huh, right.
yeah.
And but you're still but yet today you're gonna be talking to us about some new things that you're doing with the way you're eating and the things that you're discovering about it that
Right.
you didn't know at first. And tell us about your the food cravings because that's something that probably was a big part of your life for a long time.
Oh, it was a real big part of my life. I didn't even know about food addiction until after I was in my well until after 72 when I started following the McDougall program for maximum weight loss. I mean, I didn't know food could be addictive. I just was in the dark, and so um, I know I'd respond to food, and I know I would, if I started eating a jar or a container of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, I didn't want to stop until I ate it all. And the same thing with See's candy. I just wanted to eat it all to get it out of the room so that it wouldn't be tempting me. And but in my head, I just I mean, I knew I had a brother who smoked and drank, and he had addictions, but I didn't have addictions because it had,
Mhm.
at that point in my life, it had never been identified. And, at church potlucks and all of that, they just would have all that rich food there. And and I just didn't know because my favorite thing to cook wasn't meals. It was, always meat and potatoes and that sort of thing. But where I really got my joy was in making desserts. And of course, the richer they were, the better I liked them and the more accolades I got. And people say, oh,
Mm.
this is really good. So all of that would reinforce that that's what people wanted. That's what I liked. And, you'd always go to the most calorie dense food in the environment. It's just the thing we do. So yeah, it was a real awakening, and took me off my high horse when I used to judge other people for their addictions and didn't think I had any. And then when I became aware of that and learned more and more as things went along, that I just had no clue. I was totally in the dark about that. But it was 8 years ago this July that my friend Nora gave me the book, and I'm going to show a picture of it. So I still have a copy of the book. Let's see, how do you do this here?
Okay, let me just let everybody take a look. McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss, and that was the book that you were gifted, and that's what changed your life
Yes.
by John McDougall, MD. And before we go on, I wanted to mention to everybody, probably Green Warriors that are watching already know about this, but we recently did lose Dr. John McDougall, and I wanted to acknowledge him for all the things that he has done for for so many years, and the books that he's written, and all the people's lives that he actually saved with all of the great information and advice that he's given through his books and through his websites and his live broadcasts. He was actually going to be a guest on Be Green with Amy Live next week. So really, I was deeply saddened, and because I knew that I was going to definitely miss that opportunity to get to know him even better. But but his legacy does live on. Did you want to say anything about that, Esther?
Oh, that's a surprise to me. I didn't know that you had secured his agreement to be on your show. So we will all just carry on in lieu of him in the person. His body has gone on, as we all know. But I was kind of joking with someone at a meetup recently, and I said, well, he has just spread his seed all over all of us, and we are all going to spring up and carry on his message. And he has so many more people to do that than he would have had even 10 years ago. So, as although his uh, life has ended as we know it here, his legacy has not. And it's up to all of us who have received the truth from him to hold that banner high and carry it forward. So there's much work to be done. And he certainly is the father of my healing. And I'll be forever grateful to him for him totally changing my life, not only in the way that I eat, but in terms of how I see myself in the world. He's helped me spiritually. He's helped my mind be clear. It's just been, I would say, a total healing of my whole body and my life. And I want to continue to um, pay it forward. And I'm just thankful to be one of his Star McDougallers.
Yes, yes, you are one of his Star McDougalers, and Green Warrior. It's a difficult thing for us to hear when we lose someone as great as Dr. McDougall, and sometimes we feel that we don't. We wish that there was something that we could do, in addition to giving our condolences to the family. And as Esther was saying, I mean, we all have a way of keeping his legacy alive. And whether it's with Esther on her Facebook group and she posts every day what she's eating, which would be compliant with what Dr. McDougall suggests, or whether it's me with my broadcast. But even you, if you're not doing anything like having a broadcast or a blog or anything, just by staying on track with your healthy eating, that is how you are keeping his legacy alive. And I hope that that will inspire you to continue on and do that, because I know that's probably what he would want us all to do. So let's continue on with our commitment to our healthy lifestyle in memory and homage to Dr. McDougall.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's wonderful. I had the privilege of meeting him twice, and such a wonderful memory for me. And
Mm.
um, I even wrote to him uh, when I narrowed my eating choices on January 1st, because people were asking me questions and suggesting I was no longer following the McDougall program.
Mm.
And so, just 12 days, I think it was 10 or 12 days before he passed, I wrote to him and told him what I was doing. And
Mhm.
he wrote back, and he had 5 words: "You are a Star McDougaller." That's all I needed to know.
Oh, what a wonderful thing to have received.
Yes.
Yes,
So
and you.
I can go on and tell a little bit more if you'd like about um, how I made a change this year, because many people wonder, since I've made some adjustments, how does that still fit in with his program? Well, when
Yeah.
I first mentioned, I showed you the book that I followed at first, and following the McDougall program for maximum weight loss is the program that I followed for 7.5 years. It is what allowed me to get rid of all my medications. It got rid of my eyeglasses. It got rid of all my diseases and allowed me to lose 130 pounds within 3 years. The first year I lost 80 pounds, and the second year I lost 25, and the third year I lost 25. So at 3 years, I had lost 130 pounds, and for the next 4 years, have maintained it. As time went on, I did start adding some of the foods that he allows in his starch solution. That's another book that he wrote, probably his favorite. It is the book upon which his starch solution certification course is based. And I did take that as one way of paying back to him. Took that course and got my certificate for that. But the starch solution is a much broader based eating program. And I'll put a picture of it here in case you want to see it. This is the starch solution. Of course, he's got the potato on the front there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of his key works is however, on the starch solution, you can eat, flour, and you can eat nuts and seeds and avocados, a broader spectrum of food. On the maximum weight loss, he eliminated some of the healthy but high fat foods for those of us who maybe were older or had so much to lose. And at the time, that's all I had was the maximum weight loss book. It's all I knew. So I just followed that. And at the beginning, I said, I'm going to put him to the test. And if this program works, I said, I'm going to test that sucker. I guess I like suckers like Sugar Daddies and Tootsie Pops.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I said, I'm going to put that sucker to the test. And if it works, I'm going to give him all the credit. So I've always been conscious of that and wanted to pay it forward to him and anyone else because I didn't have those tools in 72 years of living. I never heard anything about eliminating animals from my diet.
Mm.
I never heard anything about eliminating, of course, always on diets, you would eliminate desserts. That was just kind
Yeah.
of a common thing. But to eliminate animals, supposedly our source of protein and milk, our source of calcium, to eliminate that just seemed absurd. But I was desperate because I wanted to travel and I didn't want my bad knees and my health to prohibit me from enjoying life. So even though I weighed 257 pounds, I thought I didn't think I wasn't healthy. I mean, I just thought, well, okay, Ben and I were both fat and, it just seemed normal as long as I could move and do what I wanted to do. It wasn't a hindrance. But on that last trip in 2016, when my knees nearly gave out on me and I could hardly walk to the airport, then I thought, well, I have to do something because a few months later, we had a trip planned to China and I didn't want to stay home. So that's kind of the history behind it, and so many other stories with Be Green with Amy. You can go back and listen to fuller details. But
Yeah.
what I want to really address today is even though following the maximum weight loss, and that really did curb a lot of my appetites, it certainly took away any desire for animals and dairy. I still would struggle, of course, with tortillas or burritos or sometimes chimichangas or food that had a little bit of oil in restaurants. I could most of the time stay away from chips. That wasn't a big thing. But later, since I had lost that weight, I was doing what Dr. Lyle says, and that's that you can, first of all, you need to be at your goal weight for 6 months or longer to really establish a new set point. Because if you start tempting yourself with high fat foods before you've really gotten that weight established, it's too easy to start going back up again and entering the yo-yo market. So after 6 months, then I felt like I could start adding things back. So I was sparingly doing avocados and nuts and seeds and not much flour products and not alcohol, but enough of the higher fat things that, I would still have a little minor yo-yo, like from 127 to maybe 132. And so I was still dealing with craving somewhat. But in December of last year, I went off the charts. There were two incidences. One was went to my granddaughter's concert, and they had free desserts. There were tables and tables of this free desserts. Everything was
Mm.
desserts. And once I got started on it, I went back, and a lot of it was candy. And I just kind of went crazy. And then the second time was Christmas Day. I went to my son's, and he had been given all these homemade candies that I used to make, and so I knew these recipes. I knew the Rocky Road. I knew the Roca almond. I knew all these cinnamon barks. I mean, I knew all these candies. I knew the recipes, and I just had a plate full of them. I think I went back and had a second plate. Well, the next day it's no problem. I knew how to get right back on my program by, right the next day I went back. It was just in that environment that I couldn't handle it. And so I thought about that and I thought, boy, it just was kind of shocking to me. So I can't say exactly what led me to start a different angle in January, but I'd heard a lot about Daniel's fast. And I don't know, some churches have done this in January. For 10 days, they go on a fast of Daniel's fast, which was vegetables and water. And I'm pleased to say that in Dr. McDougall's third book, or not the third book, his 13th book, The Healthiest Diet on the Planet. I can't hold that very straight. Anyway, in this book, he actually addresses this as an experiment that was done 2,600 years ago. And he says one of the earliest controlled scientific trials of the healthiest diet on the planet. And he says Daniel and his men who ate vegetables were compared to men who ate animal foods like most Americans do now. At the end of 10 days, the vegetarians looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So I was so pleased because Dr. McDougall was careful to stick with his medical training and his medical perspective on life to help us all. But this one story that he put there touched my heart because I had heard that story all my life, but never knew how to apply it to my life. And so in January, I thought, well, if Daniel ate vegetables and water, that's what I'm going to do for 10 days and put it to the test, just like I had put the maximum weight loss book to the test. So I started out on day one and I went back this morning and looked at some of the things I ate on that first day. And I have the privilege on Facebook of going back to see what I was doing. Well, 10 days expired and I felt wonderful. And I thought, well, why would I stop this? And so I thought, well, I thought I had read in another situation where maybe he had done something special for 21 days. So I thought, okay, I'm going to extend this to 21 days. Well, at the end of January 21st, again, I felt so good. I thought, why would I not continue? So then I thought about how in the Bible, 40 days is a real popular period of time. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea. So I'll go 40 days. So then I went 40 days. And then about that time, it was time for Lent and just Lent and getting ready for Easter. And I thought, well, maybe it's only a few days until Lent starts, and then maybe I'll just do that too. So the bottom line to all that story is I'm still doing it. And now this is mid-July. Now, and this is why I want to come out, so to speak, and talk about this, because right away, some people started saying to me, well, Esther, you're not getting any fruit. So I did a little bit of Googling and I found out tomatoes are fruit, squash is fruit, cucumbers are fruit, eggplant is fruit, and there's a lot of things. So I thought, okay, that lets me off the hook for feeling like I'm abandoning Dr. McDougall's plan. And then somebody else said, well, Esther, you're not eating enough fruit or something like that. And then I said, well, let's go back and look at Dr. McDougall's plan. On the maximum weight loss, he said, to eat no more than 2 servings of fruit a day. He didn't even say 2 fruits because sometimes a banana could be more than 1 serving. So I think that's where some people might have gotten off base, is thinking that one whole big fruit, maybe one whole pineapple would be 1 fruit a day. I don't think so. So anyway, I looked at that and I thought, he never said we had to eat fruit. What he did was limited us up to 2 fruits a day. So then I took that hit and sailed with it. And then some other people said, well, you aren't eating any beans and rice. And again, I looked closely at his program. He said, starch is the solution. He never said we had to eat all of them. So as long as we're eating enough starch to give our brain the food it needs, and we're happy and we're satisfied with lots of potatoes and sweet potatoes and gold potatoes and little baby potatoes and vegetables and some of the fruits on the vine, it's still, in my view, and that's what matters for my body, is I'm on program. I'm in compliance. So how long am I going to continue this? I have had beans, I think 3 different times in a restaurant, 2 in a salad bar. I had some garbanzo beans, and I had a bowl of beans in a Mexican restaurant that had no oil in it. So I have had that. And I'm just still kind of experimenting. But what I want to tell you is this is the first time I have no cravings. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not even a nutritionist. I'm a person who's exploring life. However, this is what I have kind of come up with because I think I was eating more fruit from the trees. The level of sugar in those fruit bearing trees, I'm believing, is higher than the fruit that's in vine grown, what we normally think of as vegetables. And I think everyone would agree with that. So I'm getting the fruit of the vine, just not the fruit of the tree. And I'm wondering, I don't have any proof, I'm not a scientist, but I'm wondering if having eliminated the fruit from the tree, if that reduced my cravings because I wasn't always keeping that in my diet every day. So be that as it may, I lost another 10 pounds. I'm down to 117 and I have no cravings. And Ben has bread in the house. He has peanut butter in the house. He has honey in the house. He has uh, oat groats in the house. Not that that would be a temptation. He has pasta in the house. And I feel totally healed and totally free of that monkey on my back. So will I ever eat fruit off the tree? I don't know because I feel so wonderful and so safe. And there's no need to lose any more weight. I think I've lost my breasts have gotten smaller. I think all that fat's gone. I haven't. And the other thing, this is kind of extreme, but I'm an extreme person. You don't have to follow me, people. Follow
Yes.
your own heart, follow your intuition, follow what's true for you. This is my life journey. And just because I post pictures of everything I eat, that's my accountability to you because I promised 8 years ago I would take a picture of everything I eat. So I do that, but it's not to show you how to eat. I want to make that clear. And there's no prize given out to somebody, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's an individual journey that all of us are on, and we're all learning at our own pace. And all I can say is that for me, I have never felt as free from sugar addiction as I feel now.
Yeah. Well, that's a really big deal, Esther, and I really thank you for sharing that. I know that with I do coaching, and with my clients, I tell them every bite you take or even any liquid that goes in your mouth, it all needs to be. You need to send a picture to me all the time, and I think that that's a really good strategy because sometimes we just automatically, without even thinking, put things in our mouths. But when we have to think, okay, I've got to show this to somebody else, and in your case, you're showing it to all of your followers.
Yeah,
It You can't just quickly and automatically, without thinking, do something, right?
right.
You have to hesitate and say, "Wait a minute, I've got to take a picture of this," you
Yeah.
know, and
And my
that's
life
Mhm.
is really important to me.
Yes.
And so when I kind of narrowed down the options, I knew that I'd get guff from some people because I was maybe making it too hard, but I'm not the one you should be following anyway.
Hmm.
This is my journey. Uh, but and the other thing I did is this is really extreme, but extreme changes make extreme results too. But and this isn't to brag, it's just to reveal what I've done. I have not used any spices since January 1st either. Now, some people say, oh, spices are wonderful, and they are. But for me, all they did was enhance the food and made me
Mhm.
want to eat more.
Yes.
So now my tongue has been changed, and my tongue is so clean, and my taste buds have adapted so well now to where I'm eating that I even tried arugula this week for the first time, and it's kind of a different taste. It's kind of a bitter thing, and carrots taste so sweet, and even jicama tastes like a crunchy apple. And so I've refined my taste buds for me so that I really can enjoy food as grown. And it
Yeah.
doesn't take any other spice or any other sauce or any other dressing to enhance it to make me eat it. And Dr. McDougall used to say, if you have to put a little bit of sugar or a little bit of salt on your
Yeah.
food to get you to eat it, fine. Like the sugar helps the medicine go down because he wanted us eating the food. But now it's to the point with me that my cupboards, I don't even have to get anything out of my cupboards anymore because everything I eat just comes out of the refrigerator. And so every Wednesday, I like to empty my refrigerator because Thursday's our shopping day. So then nothing is over a week old,
Hmm.
and I haven't even eaten anything out of the freezer. So it's
Wow.
kind of a weird thing, but so
Yeah.
it's been my salvation. I can't tell you. My mind is clear. I'm happy. I'm at peace. The world be going to hell all around me, and I'm just in my
Yeah.
happy place, you know.
Well, let's start talking about food addiction and all of these things in the processed foods because I think that these are important to address. We're going to start it with our game.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Okay, we were talking about food addiction. So, Green Warrior, what do you think? True or false? Once a food addict, always a food addict. Type in your guess, and we're going to talk about that. Esther, what do you want? What do you think about
Well, until January, I would have said yes.
that?
But I think for the most part, when we have had an addiction, uh, what would I say? Abstinence is the only cure, and moderation doesn't work. So if moderation worked, we could say, well, I'm going to eat this way Monday through Friday, but on the weekends I'm going to go off. No, get honest with yourself, and if you can't leave anything alone, even if it's something you think you need, there's probably, especially if it's a harmful substance. It's not really an addiction for me to be addicted to my potatoes, my sweet potatoes, and all those wonderful things. I'm not addicted to them. That's where I get my nourishment. That's where
Yeah.
I get fed. But in terms of addict being, and by definition, something that harms us, I think anytime you play with an addict, yes, it's always there lurking in the background. Always, my experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you're a food addict, which I think everybody, I feel like it's a spectrum. I think that some people, they can take most things or leave it, and other people can't stop and have a real difficulty stopping at all. And then somewhere in the middle are people that are kind of struggling, but sometimes they can get help with it. But those food addictions, they're in the corner and they're doing push-ups and they're just waiting. They're waiting for you to like when you experienced with your family gathering and there was that candy there. They're waiting for you just to take that one bite and then whoosh, it just all goes,
Hmm.
you know? And to me, I agree with you, Esther, that abstinence, that's really the only way. And maybe, tomorrow you could go to a party like that again and have one of those candies and say, oh, I don't need this. But
Hmm.
why?
Yeah.
Why test it? Why even do it when you know that the ingredients in there are gonna be harmful to your health anyway?
Hmm. Yeah, I know, I've tested a lot going to restaurants because we go to a lot of vegan meetups, and I will not say it's any fun going out for dinner anymore because I just order steamed vegetables, and I don't even look at the menu. You can't look at the menu, and there's so much in our environment, whether it's in our homes or other people's homes or restaurants or whatever. It's just the luring is just everywhere in our world, and it's really really hard So that's my strategy is I go to a restaurant and just order steamed vegetables. And it's kind of boring because I'm paying for money that is so plain like I would eat.
Yeah.
But I go for the fellowship. I go
Hmm.
hoping that maybe I could help someone else out or they could help me, and just demonstrating that what I believe now and how I eat at home, I eat out when I go someplace too. So, and I always eat before I go, so I don't have hunger
Yes.
knocking on the door. And we
That
know we know how to do all of that.
that's one of the strategies,
Yeah.
Dream Warrior. If you're gonna
Yeah.
go out to eat, it doesn't mean you have to eat. You
No.
still enjoy the fellowship, and you can just
Yeah.
eat before you go, and then you don't
Yeah.
have to be hungry or worry about it. And I remember before I had this lifestyle that sometimes I wouldn't eat before I would go out because I felt that I would be wasteful if I wasn't hungry when I went to the restaurant. So I would, even if I was a little hungry before I went, I'd say, "Okay, well, at least I won't waste the food," which
Yeah.
is that primitive brain
Yes.
telling you, "I have found a way for you to eat even more." But,
Yes.
yeah, Christina had said for me, yes, once a food addict, always a food addict, yeah. Okay, we have another, question for true or false, so get ready. True or false, addressing emotional and psychological aspects is not necessary for overcoming food addiction. Now, we're not doctors here. We're just kind of talking from experiences, from maybe our own experiences or perhaps people that we know. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I think we're all mind, body, and soul. We're all the same person, and what affects one aspect affects everything. And I know for me, if there was a little bit of stress, my band-aid was food, and so I had to really learn to separate out my real hunger from discomfort because emotionally I could be unhappy about something, and my refuge was go to the refrigerator, or go get something to eat. And so, yeah, I think we need to take all parts of our body and mind and soul when we address what we're using food as.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe some people can just move on, and but it's such a real thing that is affecting people that perhaps that can be another layer of what they're doing, but we shouldn't use that as a reason for not adopting a healthy lifestyle and doing what we can, while if we're trying to resolve those things, that doesn't mean that we should wait until they're resolved in order
Yes.
to start.
Well, it just helps to maybe even set a timer and say, okay, I'm going to wait 5 minutes and to take time to think about this. And how is my eating going to solve the problem or reduce the stress? And then have a plan of action. And then if you're still really hungry, then try some water. Sometimes
Mhm.
we're dehydrated and we
That's
think we're
very
hungry.
true when we don't know. We're
Yeah.
not aware of it. Christina said, "No way it is necessary. I need my therapist and journaling and following uplifting people." Well, you came to the right place for the uplifting people because Esther's very uplifting. Thank you for your comment, Christina. Okay, so we're going to our next question. True or false, all you really need is willpower to overcome food addiction. So what do you think of that? What do
Oh,
you think,
it,
Esther?
no, it takes more than willpower because willpower is so transitory. I mean, you might have willpower one day, but not the next. I think it takes a real commitment to love yourself. It really, if you can love yourself and say, I am worth it, and say, yeah, I'm uncomfortable in this situation, and yeah, I'd like to go get something to eat to relieve my stress or whatever. But, if you know that you're worth it, and I think that's where therapy might help some people. Maybe you've had some trauma in your life or you've had some unfortunate situations, and those old habits just creep up, and they're really hard to resolve by willpower alone. And like Chef AJ says, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. But some of you live in environments, in marriages or in family situations where not everyone's willing to make it a, a calorie, not a calorie free, but a temptation free zone for you. And so you have relationships to work out with other people to help you. But if your environment is not clean, um, I think your success rate is greatly reduced. But you don't have to use that as an excuse, because you can still know that you're worth it. And even though the temptation's there, you can through determination and through keeping your own cup filled and reading good things and listening to good podcasts, make that determination that sometimes we have to walk alone. But you don't have to use your family as an excuse either. But if they come on board, it sure makes it healthier environment.
Yes, it really does. But sometimes it could take them a while, so be patient with them.
Yeah,
As you're wanting them to be patient with you, you need to be patient with them
that's
because
right.
it may take a little while for those things to come around, or even some years
Yeah,
before it
and
happens.
if you make a mistake or they make a mistake, forgive yourself and go on. It's not the end
Mhm.
of the world. It's
Yeah.
just one more learning step. You know.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. True or false, food companies intentionally formulate products to hit the bliss point, maximizing the combination of salt, sugar, and fat to create irresistible flavors. What do you think, Green Warriors? Esther, you want to talk about
Yes,
that?
yes, of course that's true, because they want us buying their product, and they are not dummies. They knew how to put fat, sugar, and salt together. And by the way, the combination of those three do not occur naturally in nature, but they have learned to put it in manufactured products. So if you don't eat any manufactured products, you go a long way towards helping yourself, because they do know how to create that dopamine hit in us where we want to go back. And it's so subtle. It is so subtle.
Yep. And I'm so proud that my Green Warriors know the answer to that question. Good for you guys. It's so true. It really is. And if it just comes in any kind of a package and has more than one ingredient other than water, it's probably not a good idea to even partake in it. And health-wise too. And there are hidden ingredients in there that they don't even reveal on the label that they use to emulsify or to keep it from turning a funny color. There's all just kinds of things that, and in nature, we don't find those ingredients, and our body really doesn't know what to do with it. And unfortunately, because people are imbibing in these products, there are autoimmune diseases, all kinds of issues that people are coming up with, and they're stumping the traditional doctors because of these ingredients that are just deleterious to our health. So please just try to clean it up, guys, and you're gonna not just have a cleaner body, but a cleaner mind, right? And yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's one that you may not know the answer to, but you can read it and think about it. And if you want to guess, you can guess. True or false? Manufacturers sometimes intentionally include slight variations in flavor, texture, and seasoning within a single bag of potato chips to make them more appealing and addictive. Mm. Okay, Green Warriors, what do you think that is, Esther?
Yes, I don't have any experience knowing this, but maybe you could address it.
Well, manufacturers sometimes do intentionally do this. It's a technique that plays on a concept known as sensory specific satiety. And that's where our taste buds and our brains, they crave a variety, right? Our primitive brain is telling us, get variety. It's important not just to eat one of the same mono eat and only eat one thing. You need to have variety because all the different plants out there have different components and nutrient values that help us. So our taste buds and brains crave that variety to enhance the eating experience. And by providing a mix of slightly different tastes and textures, the manufacturers stimulate our desire to continue eating, which makes it harder for us to stop. And it just taps into our primitive drive for a variety in our diet. And ultimately it just encourages us to consume more of their product. And of course, a lot of us may have remembered a commercial from one potato chip manufacturer, and the ad said, bet you just can't eat one. And they knew it. And it may not just be potato chips that this is happening with. And the reason why I wanted to bring this question up for everybody is because I want you to realize that it's not your fault that you're attracted to these foods. And I want you to be angry. I want you to be angry at these people who are making these recipes and producing these products. I want you to be so angry that you can have a voice by saying, well, I'm just not going to eat any of your products. And there's my voice telling you, I'm not supporting what you do. And of course, that'll support your health too. But that's why I brought that up. Did you want to add anything else to that, Esther?
Yes, I think it's important to recognize that even with our vegan foods, we can be led astray. I was just reading again this morning in Dr. McDougall's Healthiest Diet on the Planet, and he really advises against the fake meats and the fake cheeses and the fake vegan things out there because they're really still keeping us addicted to that product under the guise that it's safe. They're not using animals, but it's still food addiction. And I know for myself, when I first started using sriracha sauce, it was so hot, I could only put about 3 little dots on a potato or with some beans or something. But as time went on, I could put a whole line, spreading that sauce. I got to the point where I could take more and more of that. And the same thing with not better than bouillon. You have to be careful. Had to be careful with that too, because there's a lot of, even if it's reduced salt, it's that salt. When Ben would make a soup using better than bouillon, even the vegetarian variety, it tasted so good I would want 3 bowls of it. But when I made vegetable soup with water without any salt or anything like that, one bowl would do enough to give me satiety. So all of these seasonings and all these balsamic vinegars and all these other special things may or may not be a problem for you. But for me, they always led to overeating. And even though I wasn't overeating and gaining weight, I still was gravitating to more and more because of the accents that I was adding to the food. So, especially if you're in a weight loss program or you're trying to lose the weight, just be aware that the more seasonings you use, it's important to get you to eat the food. But after you've gotten adapted to where you eat healthy food, then just be aware that you might still be overeating.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that and that's why we're so attracted to these things because in nature, Esther and I both don't add sugar, oil, or salt to our foods. In nature, there is salt in almost every vegetable that you encounter has sodium in it. So it's not like you're not eating salt at all, but it's a very low amount. And we're really not designed to have more than what nature is providing. So it definitely even these quote unquote healthy seasonings, they're still hijacking your taste buds in a way and making you want more. And we just need to eat because we need to give our body nutrients and
Yes.
we need to give our body energy.
Yeah.
And we need to find other ways of lighting up those lights in our brain that make us excited about things. And Christina said, I have to turn off food ads because I know how unhealthy the food is. And those ads do look delicious. Yeah, you're right. And a lot of times the food that they're showing isn't even food. It's something made out of plastic and paint and things just to make it look more appetizing than the food really is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's not food to begin with because it doesn't grow.
Mhm. Yes, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad that you brought up about the vegan options because oftentimes people will see on a label, "Oh, it says vegan," so then it's healthy. And of course, a lot of people do use these things to transition, and
Mhm.
for some people, that's helpful for them to use these products to transition, but don't make that your permanent stop if you
Right.
are using it to transition.
Yes. Yes. And it does save the animals. We will say that. But in terms of our health,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think I'm gonna go to a couple of questions. Well, let me just ask, is there something else that you wanted to add to what you were talking about as far as your strategy has been?
No, I think, no, I don't think so. I mean, I can keep yapping, but I think if there are questions, I'd rather address those because we said we would.
Okay, sure. So walk away, Renee said, so excited to see Esther today. She's always inspirational. And we're excited to have you here. Walk away, Renee. And Jesus Junkie said, yes, such an inspiration. Um, and Jen said, hi, Esther, love you. So Judy wants to know, Esther, do you put anything on your potatoes or eat them plain?
Since January 1st, plain. I just love my potatoes. Whether I usually save sweet potatoes till the end of my meal, and that's my dessert because they're so sweet. I love the ones that are light on the outside and white on the inside. And I'll usually roast about four of them at a time, so I always have them handy. And sometimes I'll start the day with a potato, but usually it's my dessert. So lately, this last week or two, I've just been eating a baked potato with the rest of the plate being raw, fresh vegetables. And so I've had arugula and I've had even beet slices are good raw. And I've had, these little cherry tomatoes. Sometimes they call them, that's like my fruit now. And eating carrots and celery. And then for many days, I was making a little veggie stew every morning. And I put in carrots and celery and onions and garlic and a whole garlic. And I wasn't a big garlic person before. And I put the whole thing in there. And then when I put it in my mouth and it burst out, it's just like, whoa! I never knew it could be so fun. And sometimes I'll put potatoes in and cook them that way. So it's a journey. If you can't eat potatoes plain, I used to eat them with sometimes a little bit of sriracha sauce or a little bit of better than bagel, but those things do add. But still, if it, or you can put potatoes in soups, or you can, if you're eating beans, you can put them under beans. So there's lots of ways to train your palate to appreciate them. But I eat mine plain. They're just so good.
Okay. Laura wants to know, what is Esther's advice for someone who's gotten off track and keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never seems to come?
Okay. Well, I learned a technique early on that whenever I went off, my next bite had to be a potato. So I didn't want any time passing between when I aired and when I got right back on. So it wasn't like I was going to wait till tomorrow or wait till New Year's Day. Just my very next bite would be a potato. So, of course, whatever led to the failure, it'd be great to get rid of that. And don't be afraid to throw food away. Don't be, I'm not food, but junk.
Yeah.
So many times. I know even in my own household, Ben said at first, well, I'll wait until all the meat's gone out of the freezer before I started. And then he wanted to wait till the mayonnaise was gone, wait till the cheese was gone, all that. So it took him about 9 months to come over. And maybe that's going to be your slow journey. Not everyone dives into the pool head first. Some of us take our bandage off very slowly. But whatever way you take, be kind to yourself. This is you. This is your personality. This is how you handle life. And if you screw up, and if it takes you a week or a month to get back, just know that that's going to be your process. That's how your mind works, or that's what you're willing to do. And for me, I think it was really great to identify what could I go the rest of my life and live without. And maybe for you, it'd only be one thing. Maybe something you don't like anyway, like beets. You say, well, I could go my whole life. But on another way, maybe you could give up soda, or maybe you could give up coffee, or maybe you could give up alcohol, or maybe you could give up meat or dairy or eggs. Maybe you could only start with one thing at first and then prove to yourself you can do that. So, advice is cheap. This is your journey. And if you want crappy food more than you want to lose weight, guess what? You'll find a way. But
Yeah.
if you really truly are having an awakening time in your life where the light's going on and you're saying, I'm not happy with the direction of my life. I want to make a change. I want to commit to a whole food, plant-based diet. And this is what made it so easy for me on January, because I only had one question to ask. Is it a vegetable? That's all I had to ask. Is it a vegetable? That was the only test I had to pass. Is it a vegetable, and is it water? And it's taken me 7 years to get to that point. So I'm not saying everybody needs to jump in there, but it made it so easy. Or another question you can ask yourself, if you're really serious, is, did this grow?
Yeah.
And you can't say that of a piece of bread. You can't say that of pasta. And you can't say that of crackers. And you can't say that, well, you probably could say that of popcorn in a way, but that's kind of
No,
the
no,
edge.
you wouldn't go out in your garden and pull out a piece of
No,
popcorn.
that's right. Either eat an
Even
ear of
right.
corn. Yes. So, and those are some questions you might set up for yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just concerned about the animals. Maybe you're not to the point where you're concerned about your own health. Then you might just say, is this an animal? Are you going to
Mhm.
dedicate your life not to eat, not to contribute to that? So that would be another pathway. So choose your pathway, ask for help, ask for guidance. It's all within you.
Mhm. And I say, don't start tomorrow, start right now.
Yes.
Don't wait for tomorrow to come. Just
No.
do it right now. And here you have 2 people that have adopted this lifestyle, and I didn't lose as much weight as Esther did, but I lost a lot of weight too. And we're here telling you that the other side is so great. It feels so freeing, and your mind, and you
Yeah.
won't have these terrible thoughts all the time, telling yourself and punishing yourself. It's just so freeing. And
Yeah.
so really start now. Don't wait
Yeah.
for tomorrow. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're
Yeah.
waiting for tomorrow to come when it's right here in front of you.
Yeah. There is no tomorrow. It's just today. And
Right.
there's no moment like the now. It's a present to yourself, to say, I I am worthy of having real food nourish my body. You
Yeah.
know,
So
it's great.
Jesus Junkie said, "Does Esther add anything to her veggie stew?"
Yes, I add water. I I use carrots, and like I say, because I always have lots of carrots and I want to finish them up for the week, and I think we buy them by 10 pounds. So yeah, so I usually put in the Instant Pot, two carrots, 2 sticks of celery, either a half or a whole onion, depending upon how much fits, a whole thing of garlic, a cup of water, and then if I have something like zucchini or whatever else I have in the refrigerator, put in there, sometimes potatoes, sometimes cabbage, just so I just eat produce and water. It's so
Mhm.
simple.
Yeah.
So
And it
not
almost sounds like a recipe for vegetable broth, the things that you're putting in
Oh,
anyway,
yes, and it
right?
tastes so good, and the onion and the garlic is enough to add the flavor, and
Mm.
then and just a cup of water, and then I set the timer, and it usually fills the Instant Pot clear to the top, the 3-quart Instant Pot, and I get it jammed up clear to the top, and then a cup of, water. That's something else I've done, is our water here isn't the best, and Ben just didn't like drinking water, so we have gone to purchasing water.
Mm.
And I don't know where that has played in my journey, but I do add a cup of that water because I want to drink the liquid from the soup after I make it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
'cause it's all those nutrients left over
right,
in the soup.
right.
You don't wanna waste them.
And I
Yeah.
never get tired. I mean, I could eat that every day. Now that we've had a really hot spell, so I've been eating just even cold potatoes with cold raw veggies in the morning. But yesterday I did roast kabocha squash. And then Ben, I kind of washed off all the seeds, and Ben put them in the air fryer. And that just took 10 minutes to do there instead of 2 hours in the oven. So I,
Mm.
I probably will snack on those today. But it's so freeing that I never get tired of eating the same thing every day. It's just like Ben eats the same thing every night too. He eats burritos, whole wheat burritos with lettuce and salsa and avocado, and sometimes some fake meat. But he eats that almost every night. So I think we do kind of get into what's easy and what's quick and what's handy and what's cheap, and that's the other thing. I always want to eat in such a way that people who are on a real restricted diet could follow.
Mhm. Yeah, it's simple. They don't have to worry about recipes or
No.
weird ingredients that they've never heard of. And yeah, maybe if for people that are coming off the standard American diet, which is called a SAD diet, that it would seem extreme and it probably would not taste good at all. But if you just give yourself a chance and you keep on doing this,
Yes.
your taste buds are going to neuro adapt and you're going to start tasting the real food and the flavors that come from nature. And this is just, and you're going to start getting a clearer mind and it'll make it a lot easier. But you just sometimes, just like anything else, we were talking about addictions earlier, we were talking about smoking or drugs or alcohol. It's the same kind of thing. If you're trying to come off of those things in the beginning, it's not going to be a party, but if you keep going, it's going to be well worth it and you will get to the other side. And just do it for yourself, and we're rooting for you.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Well, any change is, well, it's so empowering, because if we don't have the power to resist temptation or what we put in our mouth, how are we going to just live? I mean, there's so many, we make a commitment in our marriage, right?
Mm,
And we don't say, well, it's hard.
mm,
Do I have to resist temptation to go out with somebody else? Or, I mean, if you've made a commitment, you've made a commitment.
mhm.
But with food, it's harder because of our culture
Yeah.
and because there's so many voices out there saying, try this, not to mention all the drugs that are on TV. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
try this. And everybody's trying to give us fake happiness.
Yep, and it doesn't come in a bottle or a package. It comes in your life experiences and what you're doing, and don't make food your recreation. Find other ways of finding ways to make you happy and give you fun things to do. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. I think I had another one here. A lot of people are really enjoying what you have to say. Ted said, how do you deal with non supporting healthcare professionals? I'm looking for a new primary care, but have issues finding someone who is supportive. I've lost 130 pounds and still have 80 more to go. Wow. Wait a minute. We have to
Ah,
stop and
yeah,
congratulate you, Ted.
yes,
Wow. You're on your way. It's yeah,
yes.
that's fabulous. So what do you
Yeah,
have to say about these
well, well,
traditionally trained doctors?
yeah, well, if Ted's lost 130 pounds with a non-supporting healthcare person, I'd say continue going to a non-supporting person. Don't worry about it. See, doctors are there to guide us, and they only know how to tell us what they know. And I remember Dr. McDougall said, "Stay away from hospitals and stay away from doctors," and it's true. When I went, I wasn't even going to go to my doctor for a checkup because, first of all, my doctor left the practice. But I was well on my way with a non-supporting doctor. He said what he could do is I could keep taking my pain medications. I could keep taking my sleep medication. He could give me injections in my knee, or he said he could refer me to orthopedics to see if I needed a knee replacement. But he never. Oh, and then he said, but before I could even refer you to orthopedics, he said you'd have to lose 70 pounds first. But he didn't tell me how to lose it. But you see, I'd already learned about Dr. McDougall. Just follow Dr. McDougall. You can still go on his website. Heather's going to carry on with the program. There's not going to be even a hiccup. We will miss him live on Sunday nights, but she's going forward with the program. If you need to go to his 10 or 12-day program, go. If it's going to make the difference. Dr. Lim is going to be a wonderful resource, and his books are still. I mean, you can still read books just like I read before, and I knew nobody. And so, if you've only got 80 pounds more to go, I would say if you're at a plateau, my advice would be check out how much fresh fruit you're eating, because fresh fruit is wonderful, but you might be eating a little bit more that keeps you wanting more on that end of the spectrum. So, you know, play with it, do your own thing. But yeah, it'd be nice to go to a doctor, but unless you have some ailments or some medication that they're monitoring, why go?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they tend to look for something. You know, like when I went to my doctor, he said, "Well, it's time for your mammogram." I said, "No, thank you." He said, "Well, it's time for this shot," and I said, "No, thank you." Well, so you know, time. I said, "No, thank you." You know, and he didn't. Of course, he was brand new to me too. So anyway, I did take him a book. I don't know how much he's going to share that with his staff. But and I had all my blood work done and everything was nice. And even since I've been eating this more restricted way or this more delivered way, I'd like to say, I've even donated blood twice. My hemoglobin or whatever it is they check has been fine. And I
Yeah,
just
that is something that we should bring up because when you donate blood, if you're allowed to do that, you get some free blood tests that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they check your pulse and your blood pressure and all of that. But I'll tell you a little story that surprised me. When I went in, I think the first time was fine. The second time I went in to donate, it was really too soon. I hadn't given my body time to recuperate, but I was just checking up on my old husband who works there and wanted to make sure he was okay. But anyway, so the phlebotomist checked this finger, right? It's kind of funny to do this with your fingers, but she checked that one and my I think it's what your hemocrat was a little low. So then she checked my other hand and it was fine. This is one body, people. How can they
Mhm.
get two different blood tests from one body?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe it's because this arm was closer to my heart, maybe the way the blood circulates, who knows? So the next time I went back, it was just the opposite.
Yeah.
The other hand was higher than the other one. So it kind of made me question labs
Mhm.
because they are done by humans and they have
Yeah.
certain things and there is a chance of error. Now I'm not saying don't pay attention to them, but I'm just saying be aware. Just wake up and be aware of things that happen to you and with you and use your brain and think and
Mm.
decide what you want to do. So Ted, if you want to, oh, I'd love to just personally help you. I mean, I don't think you need any help. You've lost 130
No,
pounds.
I don't think he does.
No,
You gave
but
him a good tip, and of course, we're not medical professionals,
no,
so we're
no,
not trying to give out, advice, but if you're still on any, blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication, it would be advised that you would work with your
yeah,
or any kind of, diabetes medication. It would be
right,
advised for you to work with your physician to titrate you down as your numbers go down and do it, safely that way. But
right.
for a lot of us and Green Warriors, you can chime in if you want to. A lot of us, we don't tell our physicians that we're plant-based. We
Yeah,
just
right.
go in and get whatever we need done because we just want to monitor our B12 and things like that. And we don't tell them anything, and and that's it. And so for the people that are losing weight, you don't have to tell them how you're losing weight. You can just say, I'm losing a little weight, and I'm taking my blood pressure at home, or I'm taking uh, my glucose monitoring at home and I'm noticing I'm coming down. Can you help me with that? Can you help
Yeah,
me titrate down so I don't, because you could become overdose on these medications. It's very serious as you're getting healthier. So you don't want to be over medicated because that could be serious.
yeah.
So we're
I,
we're rooting for you. I hope Ted checks in
yeah,
with us again and tells us
yeah.
how he's doing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's so great. And I think we have to be careful not to judge people because I remember one time I was in the sauna with a man, he weighed 400 pounds, and I just wanted to save him, right?
Yeah.
And then I found out he used to be 600 pounds. And so it's so easy to judge a book by the cover. And
Hmm.
so just be patient with yourself, with everyone else, and know this is a lifetime journey. And losing weight isn't the only goal in life. We want to be helpful, good people. We want to be peace promoters. There's just so much to life besides our body, even. But the body is just a reflection of what's going on inside. So I just encourage you and have faith in yourself because so many people give the doctors all the power. Save a little bit for yourself. You have some intuition. You believe in yourself, and if you feel like something's right, dare to try it yourself, just like I dared to be a Daniel. And it worked for me. It may not for anybody else, and I'm not even promoting it for anyone else, but I'm open and letting you know where I am on this journey. That's all.
Very well said, Esther. You always have so many words of wisdom for us, and I think we all are always inspired by what you say and what you do. And we don't have to do exactly what you're doing, but we can glean your commitment and your
Yeah.
strength, and we can grab some of that for ourselves. And that I think that that's going to be very helpful to all the Green Warriors. Well, I really wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us, because we did kind of talk about your Facebook group. Tell us about what you do and how people can find you.
Oh, okay. What I love to do is what I do every day. I take pictures of everything that I eat, everything I put in my mouth, I like to say. And the other thing I do is I write an essay every day, hoping to inspire or encourage someone to think about life and its different aspects. And I do a video every day where I read from my book. And so that's my commitment to anyone. And it was just, I guess I started this group 7 years ago already.
Yeah, and
And
that's Esther's Nutritional Journey on
right,
Facebook. Mhm.
right. So you can do that. And of course, you can go back and watch any previous interviews I've done with Amy or with Chef AJ or with Neil Bernard or with Tammy Kramer or wherever. There's a lot of videos out there, but after you hear the story, you don't need to keep hearing it, I don't think. Just keep trudging forward, glean from every voice that comes to you. There's no accidents. And so that's my Facebook. I have my phone number is out there on the web. You can call me if you need to. My email's out there. I'm not a very private person, and I just love spreading the good news.
And we love having you on. Esther's been on quite a few times on the broadcast. I even have a playlist just on YouTube specified just for Esther, so that you can hear her whole story about her journey. And of course, Esther, can you show us? Do you have your book handy near you?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
So I want you to show us your beautiful book.
Yeah, it's so funny. I read from this every day, and somebody will write to me and say, "What book are you reading from?" I guess they just didn't know. So, did you want me to read a page today?
At the end of toward the end of the
Okay.
broadcast, I always ask Esther to
Yeah,
pick out something to read to us, because I love to listen to you read from your book.
and I will donate a book to you for your drawing.
Oh my goodness, Green Warriors, did you hear that? Esther's going to be donating a copy of her book, From Donuts to Potatoes. And if you go onto my blog, begreenwithamy.com, I'm going to post about that. And I'll probably try to do that on social media, on my Facebook page, and also on my YouTube channel. But begreenwithamy.com, check in. You can follow me there, and then you'll get the notification, because we're going to have a drawing for her book. I'm so excited. Okay, Esther, go ahead
Yeah.
and read us from your book.
Okay. Oh, and the other thing I want to say, if you do want to join Esther's nutritional journey, the process goes so much easier if you answer the two questions that are there. So I'm just going to pick out a page here. And this is interesting. It came up with the word. Actually, the bookmark was in the book, so that's probably why it came up. Tomorrow's word is for July 18th is guilt. I often say there is no guilt, only learning. And that is pretty straightforward when it comes to deviating from an eating plan, because it is only about me and my food. But what do I say when I lose my cool and strike out at friends? It takes more than just me learning and going on. It is going to take some love and some repair work, whether or not my friends were offended by my off the cuff remark. I can blame it on many things, but there really is no excuse for retaliation. In this time of polarized views, tit for tat just doesn't work. We must rise above emotionally charged issues. Setting the standard for our behavior has nothing to do with anyone else. It is us who sets the bar for our behavior. And when we duck beneath that bar to get in a jab or a sharp retort, we are the ones who suffer from what to do next. I know what to do and will find the time to apologize and recognize that my remark was uncalled for. Do I feel guilty? Well, it sure sounds like it, that maybe taking the time to talk with those I perceive I may have offended will open the door to talk about our differences in a civil manner. Yes, I'm still learning.
Esther, I love when you share the passages from your book, and I know that you share it on your Facebook page. But if somebody wanted to get that book, they could definitely do it. And I'm going to have a link to your book in the show notes and the comments. It's so wonderful because even if you're not on a nutritional journey, maybe you have that already done in the books, which most of us don't. But it's not just about the nutrition; it's about life, I think. And to me, if you're having a time in your life where you're having a struggle, you can just flip through there because they're dated, so you could do it by the date. But you could just flip through there and see what the universe is showing you, and read a passage, and it's always spot on. And sometimes that's just what you need, just a little passage and a way to take some deep breaths and get some inspiration from you. And we definitely really, really appreciate all the things that you do. We love having you on the broadcast, and we always look forward to having you back. And you've done so much for the Green Warriors, and we all really appreciate that. Green Warriors, please click like to show your appreciation for what Esther shared with us today, because it was just fabulous.
Well, I want to mention too, since we started with Dr. McDougall,
Yeah.
I just want people to know that I'm in a place in life where all of my royalties from the sale of the book go back to him.
That's wonderful. And the book that got you started, and I'll have a link to that as well in the comments and in the show notes, is the McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so kind of you. And that will also help his legacy live on. And that's so important to all of us. And I really just wanted to thank you, Esther, for sharing your journey and your invaluable insights on conquering cravings and embracing a healthier lifestyle. And I mean, you really gave us some practical tips. They were just spot on. And as always, you share your story, and it's a journey, just like your Facebook page says. It's a journey. It's not just I did this and now everything's different. You're going through a journey, and it really inspires us all to approach our wellness journeys with determination and positivity.
Yes, thank you. You're so kind. And thank you for having me on so often. It's just so comfortable and easy conversation style. And
Yeah.
I just don't really want to, preach to other people, but just share what has worked. And that's true for all of us. Each one of us are like a little piece to the puzzle. We each have something to share that has worked for us. And if we all pull together, how happy we'll be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, Esther, what's your final take-home message for our Green Warriors? I mean, that was kind of a good one there, if you want to just leave it at that.
Yeah. Just pull together and look for things that unite us, not for things that divide us.
Oh, excellent. I love that. Very good. Green Warriors, what do you think that your take-home is? I liked my next bite is a potato. Think about that if you're struggling. You make a sign and put it everywhere where you might go for food. My next bite is a potato. And maybe this bite should be a potato instead of your next bite, right? I also wanted to thank Jess Tat's voice. She did the promos, she did the countdowns, and she's just been so helpful in spreading the word all over social media about this. And we're getting new people all the time to join in this Green Warrior group to learn about how to make our lives healthier. And Jess Tat's voice, tell us who's coming up next.
Bloating, straining, and fullness. Oh my. Angela Fischetti introduces gentle yoga for constipation, offering poses and relaxation techniques to help manage these challenges with ease. Wednesday, July 24th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
And Green Warrior, I want to thank you for joining us today, because your engagement and support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. I really hope you're feeling inspired to take a closer look at your food choices and make some positive changes for your health and well-being. And remember, every bite we take is an opportunity to nourish our bodies and become the healthiest versions of ourselves. So please stay tuned for more empowering content. Please subscribe to my channel and share my message with others who can benefit, and share this message that Esther is giving us. Subscribe to her YouTube, and that also her Facebook. And because together as Green Warriors, we can make a meaningful difference in the world. And as a special thank you to all of you Green Warriors, I'm offering you 5 free recipes. They're all SOS free, no sugar, oil, or salt. Just go to begreenwithamy.com/join, and I will send them to you. And I'd like to invite all of you and Esther to join us. Go ahead and take your right hand and grab your left shoulder, and take your left hand and grab your right shoulder. Now squeeze. That's a hug from me to you, from me to you, Esther. I love having you here.
Thank you. Thank you. You're a sweetheart.
And if you would like to join me and Esther as we talk about our tagline, you can type it in the comments and we'll do it all together, because we're all Green Warriors. Are you ready, Esther?
Yes.
Okay. Until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well, and
Be
be
green.
green. Thank you, Esther. Bye, Green Warriors. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Looking for really tasty recipes that are SOS free? No sugar, oil, or salt. How can it taste good? Well, if you like flavor, then you'll love this Be Green with Amy recipe ebook. Get your copy today. Click on the link in the show notes. Be strong, be well, and be green.